My name is Ezra Levin. I'm 11 years old, and on October 12th, my life split in two. That was the day I died. For 7 minutes and 42 seconds, I was gone, struck by lightning during a hike with my youth group just outside of Jerusalem. I grew up in Tel Aviv in a conservative Jewish family. My father, a respected rabbi. My mother, a Hebrew teacher, the kind who could spot a misplaced vowel from a mile away. Ever since I was a kid, I was the one asking questions, the uncomfortable ones, the kind that made dinner table conversations turn awkward. Why does God do this? How do we know? What if... My curiosity was relentless, sometimes a little inconvenient. Last year, my dad accepted a new position in Jerusalem, so we packed our lives and moved. I didn't know that choice would change everything for me. That day started out like any other youth hike. I was standing on the edge of a cliff, trying to snap the perfect photo of the valley below. One of those shots that would rack up likes for days. And then, boom! A blinding flash of blue-white light. Instantly, my entire body went numb. There was a sharp, burning pain that shot straight through my chest like a spear made of fire. And then, nothing. Just blackness. But the darkness didn't last. Suddenly, I felt weightless, like gravity had just quit on me. I was floating. No, rising. Up, away from my body. I glanced down and saw chaos. My friends were screaming, scrambling. One of the leaders was kneeling on my chest, desperately doing CPR. My own lifeless body lay there, eyes wide open. And yet, I wasn't scared. Not even a little. An overwhelming calm washed over me, a kind of peace I'd never known before. Not in the synagogue, not during prayers, not anywhere. Then, something pulled me upwards, faster and faster. A tunnel of light formed, soft, glowing, almost liquid. It wasn't solid like walls. No, it flowed like water, but shimmered like stars. I reached out, and the moment my fingers touched the light, I felt it. Love. Pure, overwhelming love. Not the kind you read about, not even the kind you feel with family. This was otherworldly. It flowed through me like electricity, but without pain. The tunnel opened, and suddenly I was standing in a garden, unlike anything on earth. I mean, how do I even describe this? The colors. Impossible. Imagine taking every color you've ever seen and then turning up the brightness, contrast, saturation, everything. Flowers that seemed to hum, trees whose leaves shimmered like glass in the sunlight. The wind carried melodies like the garden itself was singing. And then I saw him. Standing by a small, crystal-clear stream was a man. Not just any man. Him. Jesus. But not like the paintings. Not sad, not distant, not fragile. He was radiant, majestic. His eyes weren't just brown. They held depth, galaxies, eternity itself. And when he smiled, oh, that smile. It was like every wound in my soul was instantly healed. Warmth flooded my entire being. My first reaction wasn't peace, though. It was confusion. But I'm Jewish, I blurted, except I wasn't speaking. My mouth didn't move, but the words, they echoed everywhere. Why am I seeing you? And then he laughed. Not a laugh of mockery, but one that sounded like music. If joy had a sound, this was it. Ezra, he said. And hearing my name in his voice, oh, it broke me. I wanted to cry, not from sadness, but because it felt like someone had seen me. Really, truly seen me. For the first time. I've been with you your whole life. I couldn't breathe. Well, I didn't need to breathe. None of this followed Earth's rules. But how? This doesn't make sense. My mind scrambled. I was raised believing the Messiah hadn't come yet. But here he was. And somehow, deep in my soul, I knew. I knew it was true. Jesus reached out his hand. "Come, Ezra, there are things you must see." I took his hand, and instantly, we were standing on a mountain, overlooking a vast desert. Below, Israel. But not like I'd ever seen it. The entire land pulsed with a soft golden light, as if the ground itself had a heartbeat. Jesus raised his arm over it. "This is my land, the land I walked, the land where my heart still beats." Then, with a sweep of his hand, the skies over Jerusalem darkened. Heavy, ominous clouds gathered, armies appeared, surrounding the city. Chaos, fear, people fleeing, crying out. A time of great testing is coming for Israel. Jesus said, "Many nations will turn against her. Even those who call themselves friends will step back when the storms come." Suddenly, the scene shifted. The Israeli flag faded out, replaced by the American flag. But it was damaged, torn, weathered, but still standing. Behind it stood a man I immediately recognized from TV, from headlines, President Trump. He stood alone, defiant, as crowds of angry faces surrounded him, yelling, accusing. "This man," Jesus said, "has been chosen for this hour. Not because he is perfect, he is as flawed as any man, but because he will stand with Israel when others abandon her." My jaw dropped. I couldn't hide it. But my family hates him. Everyone I know thinks he says such terrible things sometimes. How can he be chosen? Jesus turned to me, his eyes suddenly deep pools of both sorrow and wisdom. "I do not choose as men choose, Ezra. I look at the heart, and when the world aligns against my people, he will not waver. This is why he has been positioned for such a time." Before I could even process what Jesus had just said, the scene shifted again. It was like the entire world folded in on itself and then unfolded into something completely different. We were standing at the Western Wall in Jerusalem, the Kotel, but it wasn't like I'd ever seen it. People from every nation were gathered there. Jews, Christians, Muslims, all praying together. No shouting, no arguing, just peace. A peace so thick it felt like the air itself was alive with it. "This is also coming," Jesus said gently. "After the darkness, a new dawn, a time when many will recognize that they worship the same God, even if they have called me by different names." Tears welled up in my eyes. My heart felt like it might burst. "When? When will this happen?" I asked, desperate to hold on to this image, this promise. He turned to me, his expression both hopeful and solemn. "Sooner than many think, but not as soon as some hope." His voice was gentle but steady. "The path to this peace requires great courage from my people, both from those who are Jews and from those who follow me as Messiah." Then, he turned fully to face me. His gaze locked with mine, so deep, so intense, that it felt like nothing else in the universe existed except this moment. "Ezra, you must tell them what you've seen." His voice wasn't loud, but it carried more weight than thunder. "Tell Israel that I have never forgotten her. Tell them that in the coming storm, they must look to me, not merely to alliances with nations. And tell those who call themselves Christians that they must stand with Israel, not for politics, not for power, but because we share the same root." My hands trembled, my thoughts raced. "But I'm just a kid. Who's going to believe me? Me, telling Israel about you, telling the world about this? No one will believe me, especially not about you." He smiled, the kind of smile that felt like the sun breaking through the heaviest storm, cloud. He reached out and gently placed his hand over my heart. The warmth from his touch wasn't physical. It went deeper, into my soul, my spirit, every corner of me. "Some will believe," he said softly. "Some will mock, but the seeds will be planted. And when these things begin to happen, they will remember your words." Then, his face grew serious. The kind of serious that makes your stomach knot because you know something big is coming. "There is something else you must know, Ezra. Something urgent. A new vision opened up around us. I saw a man sitting at a massive table, surrounded by world leaders. The tension was suffocating. His face was unfamiliar, not the current Prime Minister of Israel, but someone different. He looked exhausted. His head hung low, hands folded like a man wrestling with a decision that would change everything. Jesus pointed toward him. This man will soon rise to lead Israel. He will face a choice between fear and faith. I watched as diplomats argued, papers were shoved across the table, and voices rose in frustration. The man sat silently, struggling, weary. Many will pressure him to compromise for peace, Jesus continued, but there can be no true peace that divides what I have made whole. In that moment, another wave of revelation hit me. I understood without words what he meant. The land, the covenant, the promises, they weren't suggestions, they were eternal. Pray for him, Ezra, Jesus said. Pray that he chooses faith over fear, because the choice he makes will not only affect Israel, but the whole world. I felt myself trembling again. This was too much, too heavy. How could I carry this? Jesus turned to me, as if reading every single anxious thought racing through my head. His hand rested gently on my shoulder. Don't worry about remembering everything. His voice was calm, steady, certain. When the time comes, my spirit will remind you of what you've seen and what you must say. Suddenly, everything started to shift. The light around us dimmed. The edges of the garden began to blur. A strange sensation pulled at me, as though someone had tied an invisible rope around my chest and was yanking me backwards. "No," I whispered, panic rising. "Please, let me stay. I don't want to leave. I want to stay here, with you. It's so perfect, so peaceful. Please." Jesus stepped closer. His hands gripped my shoulders firmly, and the love that radiated from him was overwhelming, like standing under a waterfall of pure, endless love. "Ezra, your family needs you. Israel needs your testimony." His voice broke no argument, but was filled with compassion. "This isn't goodbye. I am with you always, even to the end of the age." The pulling sensation grew stronger. My heart shattered. I didn't want to leave. This place. This felt like home more than anywhere else I'd ever been. But as I drifted further from him, he called out one last thing, his voice echoing like a bell across eternity. "Tell them that I am coming soon, not as a baby this time, but as a king." Whoosh! I was suddenly rocketing backwards, through the tunnel of light. The beautiful colors became a blur, faster, 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 and then the pain hit. Fire, burning, agony. I gasped, lungs exploding with air that felt like knives. Pain ripped through my chest, down my left arm, through every nerve in my body. "He's back! He's breathing!" someone shouted. My eyes flew open. Blurry faces hovered above. Me, my friends, the paramedics, people crying, people praying. A heavy weight pressed against my chest. I struggled to move, but I couldn't. Oxygen mask, wires, hands, voices, sirens. It was chaos. "Don't try to talk, kid. Just breathe," a paramedic ordered, holding the mask over my face. But I had to. I couldn't stay silent. Not now. Not after everything. I ripped the mask halfway off and forced the words out, the most important words of my life. "Jesus! I saw Jesus!" The words barely made. It passed my cracked, trembling lips. My friend Aaron, crouching by my side, gripped my hand tighter. His eyes were wide, confused, terrified. "What? What did he say? What happened?" A paramedic leaned closer, frowning. "He's delirious from the shock. We need to move now. Let's get him to the hospital." They lifted me onto the stretcher, strapping me down, rolling me toward the ambulance. Every movement sent waves of pain through my chest. It felt like my skin was on fire, like my heart had been split open and stitched together all wrong. Later, I'd learned the truth. The lightning had left a branching scar stretching across my torso. A lightning scar. They call it a Lichtenberg figure. It looks like a tree, or maybe veins of fire growing on skin. Doctors stared at me like I was some kind of miracle. One of them, shaking his head in disbelief, muttered under his breath, "By all rights, you should be dead." Then, louder, he told me, "The electrical current passed right through your heart. You should not be here. We can't explain how you survived." But I knew. Oh, I knew exactly why. Hours later, after being poked, scanned, and stabilized, my parents burst through the door. My mother collapsed into my arms, sobbing, holding me like she'd never let go. My father stood back, pale, shaken, struggling to even breathe. When we were finally alone, I pulled the oxygen mask off one more time. "Mom, Dad, I need to tell you something. You need to hear this, all of it." And I told them everything: the lightning, the garden, the tunnel of light, Jesus, his eyes, his voice, his hand on my heart, the visions of Israel, the warnings about the coming storm, the promise of a future peace, and the charge, the mission he gave me. I told them everything. My mom cried silently, hands pressed over her mouth. My father paced, over and over, back and forth, shaking his head, muttering under his breath. When I finished, the silence in the room was suffocating. Finally, my father stopped pacing. His voice was stiff, brittle, almost angry. "It was just your brain, Ezra. Lack of oxygen. Hallucinations. That's all. This doesn't change who we are. It doesn't change what we believe." But it had. It had changed me. Forever. How could it not? 2 weeks later, I went back to school. I walked the same halls, sat in the same classrooms, but nothing felt the same, and neither did the people. Some kids avoided me like I had some contagious disease. Others followed me, around, bombarding me with questions. The Christian students? They started sitting with me at lunch, their eyes wide, hungry to hear every detail. For them, my story was proof of everything they already believed. But some of my Jewish classmates, they called me a traitor, a sellout, a liar. Whispers followed me everywhere. Did it hurt? Yeah. But I didn't care. I knew what I'd seen. I knew what I'd heard. Then, 3 months after my experience, it happened. The Middle East exploded. Tensions boiled over. Israel faced attacks on multiple borders. The news was a flood of images, missiles, protests, threats, condemnations. The world's anger aimed straight at Israel, and just like Jesus had shown me, President Trump stood firm. The media lost its mind. His advisors begged him to back down. World leaders piled on. But he didn't. He stood by Israel. I remember sitting with my dad one evening, watching the news, the room filled with flickering blue light. My father, quiet, thoughtful, didn't say a word for a long time. Then, finally, barely above a whisper, he said, "Perhaps there is something to your vision after all." Tears burned my eyes. I'm still that same Jewish kid from Tel Aviv. I still celebrate Shabbat with my family. I still read the Torah. I still light the candles and say the prayers. But now, I also know something I never imagined I'd believe. I know Jesus, or as some call him, Yeshua. I don't fully understand everything. How could I? But I know this. He is the Messiah my people have been waiting for. I know he loves Israel, not from a distance, but with a fierce, protective, unstoppable love. I know he has plans for my nation that will shake the world. And I know he is bringing together his family, Jews and Gentiles, one body, one family, preparing for his return. And if you're watching this, if you're wondering whether God sees you, whether he cares about this broken, chaotic world, I'm here to tell you what I know beyond any doubt. He does. He sees. He hears. He knows your name. And he has a plan, bigger than nations, bigger than politics, bigger than the divisions that tear us apart. And Jesus told me to tell you this: the time is short. Choose now whom you will serve. Don't put your trust in princes or presidents, even if some are chosen for my purposes. Put your trust in me alone. The doctors say the lightning may have caused long-term damage to my heart. Maybe. I don't know what tomorrow holds, but I do know this. I am not afraid. I've seen what waits on the other side of this life. I've felt the love that created the universe, and I've been given a second chance to share this truth with you. No matter who you are, no matter what you believe, Jesus knows your name, and He's waiting for you to recognize His greatness.